Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Peter Alexander here in Washington as the president tries to rewrite the rules to help Republicans to keep control of the levers of power here in Washington. Starting in Texas, where the state's Republican-controlled House answered his call to pass new gerrymandered congressional maps that could give Republicans 5 more seats in Congress in the 2026 midterms. Those maps are expected to sail through the Texas Senate, could happen as early as later today. They could land on Governor Greg Abbott's desk for his signature by the end of this week. Texas Democrats, who temporarily delayed the effort, you'll remember, by fleeing the state, they slammed their Republican colleagues after the vote, pledging to fight on.
You have watched Republicans go to every length possible, use every trick in the book, throw everything in the kitchen sink in order to do what they are told. What they are told by Donald Trump, what they are told by the Washington insiders, and what they're told from the billionaire bosses.
It's not just a power grab. It's the fact that because they're going to lose, they want to pick up more votes, but it's the way they're going about it, by dismantling black and brown districts.
The next battlefield is the courts, and we will win there. And then we take the battlefield to the ballot box.
Like President Trump, Texas Republicans have been quite transparent about their political ambitions during this entire process, calling it a mission to, quote, improve Republican political performance. This is what the state representative Todd Hunter, who wrote the legislation that created the new maps, said just before its House passage.
What's wrong with Republicans standing up and Republicans stepping up and Republicans being honest, which you don't like, which is Supreme Court says we can use political and partisanship to do congressional redistricting.
In 2019, the Supreme Court ruled partisan gerrymandering was beyond the reach of the federal courts, leaving the issue to the states and to Congress. The president's focus on Texas has ignited something of a redistricting arms race at this point. You got California Democrats who are moving as fast as they can to counter Texas with a proposal to redraw their districts to neutralize the Republican gains in Texas, as Governor Gavin Newsom calls on his party to, quote, fight fire with fire. Today, the California Assembly passed the first of 3 bills that will put new congressional maps before voters this November ahead of next year's midterms. Meanwhile, President Trump is encouraging several other Republican states to gerrymander their maps, while at the same time threatening to change how people can vote in ways that would benefit Republicans. It all comes as early polling suggests voters prefer a Democratic-controlled Congress. We want to get right to the latest from the redistricting battlegrounds. Ryan Chandler is there for us in Austin, Texas. Dana Griffin is following the latest from California. You guys are busy these days, a lot of moving parts. Ryan, Texas's Senate, they're expected to vote later today. Are we expecting the kinds of holdups on the floor that we had seen in the House? What are people looking at in terms of how this plays out?
We're not, Peter. This process is going to move very quickly now that it's through the House. That was the highest procedural hurdle that this bill had. Democrats have a lot more leverage in that chamber to at least stall this legislation. The Senate's a steamroller, and Republicans run that chamber very efficiently. So we expect the governor is going to sign this bill potentially by the end of this week, Peter.
And so let's talk about the Democrats for a second. They have said they plan to challenge this in the courts. How soon could we expect to see that happen? What is the sort of horizon for the court process? I mean, clearly this is going to be resolved before the midterm, so it just sort of delays, if anything, no?
I expect litigation to come very quickly after the governor signs this bill. That is what every indication from all the Democrats I've spoken to, that's what it points to. And it needs to come quickly because these maps need to either be in place or not well ahead of the March primaries so that potential candidates know what districts they're going to run in. So Democrats have considered raising legal challenges under racial concerns, potentially under the Voting Rights Act, depending on what kind of legal question they want to raise. They could either see themselves in front of the Texas Supreme Court, which is not friendly to Democrats, no Democrats on the court, in fact, Or if they choose a Voting Rights Act, that could land in federal court in the Fifth Circuit, which is also very conservative. So not a friendly legal battlefield ahead for Democrats, but it's the one option they have now.
Ryan, what are going to be the areas that are most sort of impacted by these new maps? For those who are watching and don't really get this conversation, when you talk about redistricting, you're talking about a way to sort of make the map with all these odd shapes where you can put one part of a district next to a different part of another and shrink it into a shared district in some way, which can, for the sake of the Republicans in Texas, allow them to sort of take advantage of places where they have larger populations and capitalize on places, frankly, where the Democrats have larger ones as well.
Let me give you two real-world examples. Congressman Al Green was here last night protesting this in the rotunda behind me because this is personal to him. He's represented the 9th Congressional District in Texas in the Houston area for 20 years. The last election where he even had a challenger, he won by 53 points. Not with 53%, by 53 points. It was his district to keep for as long as he wanted. Now, Congressional District 9 is a Trump plus 20 district. It was drawn all the way out into the Houston exurbs, and essentially it will be impossible for him to win now. So that's one Democrat that is drawn out. You have another one, Greg Casar, representing here in Austin in a district that is very blue, drawn between Austin and San Antonio. His district is now a Trump plus 10 district, so if he wants to stay in Congress, he's going to have to challenge Lloyd Doggett here in Austin. Only one of them can return in the new District 37. So this is personal for a lot of the Democratic congressmen here protesting this.
Yeah, as you know, pitting some Democrats against other Democrats in this process as well. Ryan Chandler, we appreciate your continued reporting there. Dana, let me ask you about the situation in California. The governor, Gavin Newsom, says he's acting to counter what we're watching in Texas. But California's process to redraw the maps, it's notably more complicated. Walk us through the key steps there.
Yeah, it's very complicated, Peter. And so California voters gave the responsibility to redraw maps to the Independent Redistricting Commission back in 2010. So in order to change that process, they have to put it to voters again. So that's what's happening today here at the state capitol. Lawmakers are voting on a trio of bills to try to establish a special election and to also fund it. And so we've got some movement, as you mentioned earlier. One of those bills had passed the Assembly. It's now heading over to the Senate, and they're kind of doing this back and forth. We've been told that lunch has been brought in for both chambers, which is a sign that this may go on past noon. It's already past noon, but it may go on for at least a couple more hours. And, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, if they pass it today, which is likely to happen, Governor Gavin Newsom wants to sign it immediately. Peter?
So, Dana, let me walk through this a bit. We're hearing from the Republicans there. They've already tried one legal challenge shot down by California's Supreme Court. What is their position on this right now?
Yeah, so they held a press conference this morning and they said, hey, we are not fleeing the state. We're not doing any dramatic moves to try to halt the vote. But they say they are going to continue their battle in the court system. And listen to what else they said today.
You move forward fighting fire with fire, what happens? You burn it all down. The people's right to representation is exactly what will be sacrificed when we continue down this road. When after you do it, Missouri does it, Indiana does it, Colorado's talking about doing it. At the end of that, the parties will determine who represents, and the people will be powerless to elect their own representatives.
So that's Assemblymember James Gallagher there, the leader here, the minority leader here, and he says that they will be pushing voters once this passes, which is likely going to happen, to vote no for this measure, regardless of which party you belong to. Peter?
So, Dana, let's walk through this a bit, because this is what's unique to California. Ultimately, there it's going to be left up to the voters. Are they open to it? Is there early polling in the vote? This is going to be a true special election in an off year. That's a big deal. Could turnout play a factor there? Where is the energy?
Absolutely. So I think with with most elections, voter turnout obviously plays a major role. But in California, where in the last election, 46% of voters were registered Democrats, whereas only 24% were registered Republicans. They would need all of the independents plus a nice huge chunk from Democrats to vote no on this. And so I think we're at the place now where voters are kind of wondering, where am I going to lean? And over the next several weeks and months, you're going to see a lot of politicking here in California. You've already seen the former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, opposing this, but then you've had former President Barack Obama calling this a responsible move. So it can go either way. Peter?
Dana Griffin there for us in Sacramento, California. Dana, thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.